You think wins in a fight, you or Prime Floyd?
Me.
No questions?
Oh, why would you think that I would say Floyd?
That there's not another guy in the world that can beat you right now. That's Mayweather level. Head to head at their welterweight primes, Bud versus Floyd. I feel like a lot of us might actually be picking Bud right now. But what he achieved, I cannot put him above Mayweather or Pacquiao because he got these opportunities so late.
This is the problem with Bud's career, right? It bloomed kind of late.
Bud's been the best man for 12 years, but no one gave him credit because he didn't go tell you he was the best man. He didn't market that. He just went out and fought and beat people and knocked people out. So he had to move up and take the bigger fight.
All right, guys, let's kick this off with the big question. Who wins, Prime Floyd Mayweather or today's Terence Bud Crawford? Fans argue fiercely, but Crawford himself isn't backing down. He flat out says he'd take Floyd, even in his prime, and history will back him because he never ducked anyone. Bud's been the silent killer for over a decade, smashing opponents without begging for attention. His late blooming recognition doesn't erase the fact he's been that guy all along.
One like this, then that's when Floyd started taking over.
What do you want your legacy to be like when your career's all said and done? What do you want people to remember you for?
Oh man, everybody's asking me this question. I always be like, man, it's whatever it's their opinion. Everybody gonna have a different opinion of Terence Crawford, but one thing they can't say is that I ducked anyone. I fought everyone that was available to fight.
When asked about his legacy, Crawford kept it raw. Opinions will differ, but no one can ever claim he avoided smoke. Dan Rafael doubled down, saying Crawford's resume already speaks volumes. He's cleaned divisions, unified belts, and punished elite fighters. At this stage, Bud doesn't need another fight to prove greatness. His dominance already cements him as one of boxing's most complete champions. For Rafael, anything more is just polishing a crown that's already shining bright.
What does Crawford do now? Like, what's the next thing that he does? Because you look around and go, is the only way that he really gets that ultimate chance if he goes up again? And do you say, what do you do?
I don't quite. Yeah, I mean, he was asked those questions at the press conference. He made two things clear. One, he's not going back to 154, and I say that because some people suggested about possibly pursuing a fight with Ennis, who has his debut in the weight class coming up.
Yeah.
That's probably unlikely. He's not going to go back down in weight. And I mean, no disrespect to Ennis, but Ennis is a guy that's known within the diehards of boxing. He's not in any way known beyond the boundaries of the hardcore boxing fan. So yeah. I don't know if that makes sense for a lot of different reasons for him. Not to say I wouldn't, as a boxing fan, enjoy watching the fight. So, yeah. But I don't think he's going back to 154. He was asked about like a Benavides at 175, and he acknowledged like that guy's really big. I mean, that's maybe a bridge too far. He already went up to 2 weight classes to fight Canelo at 68. So it feels to me like he can either stay at 168 and defend this championship and look to the same types of names that were being thrown around as the types of guys that would have been in the mix for Canelo had he won the fight. And, he's going to have mandatories. Obviously, that's the first thing they'll have to look at. I mean, I don't know if he's not going to necessarily keep the belts if he's forced into a mandatory. He doesn't need the belts at this point, but there might be something appealing to him. For example, and Billy had a great fight on the undercard, although he's been ordered to fight a rematch in that fight. Mm-hmm. That was, fight of the year against Lester Martinez, candidate for fight of the year.
So, what's next for Bud Crawford? That's the $1 million question. He's not dropping back down to 154, nor chasing fringe names. Moving up higher may stretch him too far, but defending at 168 keeps the spotlight blazing. Analysts say his dismantling of Canelo Alvarez has sparked a debate hotter than ever. Was it better than Mayweather's win over young Canelo? Luke Thomas argues the timing matters. Floyd was already a superstar early, while Bud's rise came late.
Outrageous skill offensively and defensively, simply making another very good fighter look lesser than. This was the other part. The people who watch MMA and then try to watch boxing through an MMA lens, I don't know what to tell you. You're actually missing the point. The kind of specific details and the depth of the technical ability far surpasses even what you can get at the highest level of MMA because they don't have that level of skill. There is no equivalent in MMA to Bud Crawford because there cannot be. Bud is the most talented boxer I've seen since Mayweather.
I think Crawford is way better than Floyd Mayweather.
To be fair to Floyd, he obviously had hand problems in his whole welterweight run, and it's why he took that long stretch off in 2007, 2008, 2009 area, and Floyd's brilliance to be able to be just as great in some ways at that age. We're not here trying to dunk on Floyd. When you get a victory like this, right now, straight up, Luke, you could say that there's not a welterweight, junior middleweight, or maybe even super middleweight. When you could say over like a 4-division stretch, Bud, cut down to any of these weights, that there's not another guy in the world that can beat you right now, that's Mayweather level. Head to head at their welterweight primes, Bud versus Floyd, I feel like a lot of us might actually be picking Bud right now. But what he achieved, I cannot put him above Mayweather or Pacquiao because he got these opportunities so late.
This is the problem with Bud's career, right? It bloomed kind of late. I find Bud to be as defensively sound as I've ever seen a fighter. He can find you. There's nowhere to hide with him.
Like Floyd, he has such control over the turns in there.
Boxing purists call Crawford's performance against Canelo a masterclass. His skill set, both offensively and defensively, outshines what MMA fans even comprehend. One analyst boldly claimed there's no MMA equivalent to Bud Crawford. Still, Floyd deserves respect. He fought through hand injuries and long layoffs yet remained brilliant. But right now, Bud looks untouchable across multiple weight classes. Fans are torn, head-to-head in their primes. Many lean Crawford. Historically, though, Floyd and Pacquiao's early dominance keeps them in the top spots.
Right. I mean, it's. I don't know, man. I don't know what some of these guys be doing in this game, man. Some people, in situations like that, they should ask them, listen, just turn in your license, bro. Because there's no way in hell the fight was that close.
Right.
I mean, come on, man. It's just, it's not fair. It's not fair. You get a guy like Terence got here and dominate from beginning to end, and then you find out he needed the last 2 rounds to win. That's scary, man.
It is. And you see how you just mentioned scary. Now, a lot of people are saying, buddy, that type of beating, he's not going to want a rematch. But looking at those gold cards and knowing that, hey, you wasn't too far behind, even though, he did mention that, he's better than Mayweather. But, I mean, what's your thoughts? Do you feel like that was such a beating that Canelo wouldn't want a rematch?
No, I think that, in all honesty, personally, I think that Canelo's at that stage in his career right now, that it's a rematch he don't need. He don't need it. You know what I mean? What we saw that night, that's the stage Canelo's at right now. I mean, he's fought everybody, he's did everything, but, you know what I mean? He passed the torch to the right guy. You know what I mean? He passed the torch to the right guy. You know what I mean? He lost it to Terence fan square, and he passed the torch. So, if you're going to have another fight, cool, but you don't need to. You have nothing. He has nothing to prove. He fought Terence and nobody else would.
Buddy McGirt didn't mince words. Crawford absolutely dominated Canelo. From bell to bell, Bud dictated everything, leaving no room for debate. McGirt insisted no rematch was needed because the gap in skill was crystal clear. For him, this was Crawford's defining win, the kind that stamps his legacy permanently. Beating Canelo wasn't just another notch, it was the signature moment proving Bud belongs among boxing royalty. In McGirt's eyes, Crawford's story has already been written in gold.
Hagler, Hearns, I've seen Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler. Like I've seen all those things, and those fights were wars. Floyd Mayweather is the best boxer I've ever seen. He's the most skilled boxer I've ever seen. Bud, and this is just my opinion, is the baddest man I've seen wear boxing gloves. And here's why I say that.
RC.
Here's why I say that. Bud is extremely skilled, right? Yet not as skilled as Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather made people look foolish, right? And so if I had to say who's the greatest I've seen, and Bud said it right, the best of an era and the best of an era, it's Floyd. But when I watch Bud against Canelo, there was this extreme skill on display, and there was a level of crazy that's different. There was a level of, and Floyd's extremely tough. Go back to Shane Mosley and the 2 punches he landed early in the fight and the way that he embarrassed him. I'm not saying that Floyd's not tough. Floyd's not a bad man, but there was domination inside that ring we saw this weekend. Yeah. And there's no fear in him in the way that he's attacked gaining notoriety. Bud's been the baddest man for 12 years. But no one gave him credit because he didn't go tell you he was the baddest man. He didn't market that. He just went out and fought and beat people and knocked people out. So he had to move up and take the bigger fights and the better fights. And he was Errol Spence.
And then came the controversy, the scorecards. Some judges had the fight closer than reality, sparking outrage. Fans and analysts said flat out, if you watched Crawford dissect Canelo and thought it was tight, hand in your license. That's corruption or incompetence, plain and simple. But here's the twist, those flawed cards gave Canelo false hope. Even so, many admit he's at the twilight of his career. In truth, Alvarez passed the torch to the right man, Crawford, the new face of boxing. The Mayweather comparison keeps circling. Critics say Floyd's edge was psychological, he controlled opponents' minds as much as their bodies. Crawford's technical brilliance is unmatched, but Mayweather's mental warfare was next level. Still, Bud has something Floyd never had, raw fearlessness. Against Canelo, Crawford showed insane composure, extreme skill, and that crazy factor of attacking without hesitation. He's the quiet assassin who never needed flash. For over a decade, he's been the best, just without the marketing machine behind him. 12 to 1350. Now here's where the egos clash. Mayweather has always refused to admit anyone's above him, not Ali, not anyone. And Crawford's rise clearly irritates Floyd. Analysts argue Mayweather thrives on being the standard, and seeing Bud join him at the mountaintop bruises his pride. But facts are facts, Crawford belongs in the conversation of all-time greats. The win over Canelo cemented him as the second head of a two-headed monster dominating the 2000s, Floyd and Bud, side by side. 1350 to 1600 hours. Crawford himself says his motivation was always proving doubters wrong. For years, critics dismissed him, said he couldn't sell, couldn't rise, couldn't carry boxing. Yet every step of the way, Bud walked through fire, took the toughest fights, and emerged on top. His victories over Spence and Canelo were personal vindication. Sean Porter even compared Bud's mentality to Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan, a relentless desire to compete, to prove everyone wrong, and to rise no matter how steep the climb. 16 to 1830. By now, Crawford's place in history is locked. Fans argue pound for pound, some put him right behind Floyd, others already rank him above. But here's the truth, Crawford's greatness doesn't need comparison, it stands on its own. He overcame blackballing, lack of hype, and constant doubt to sit among legends. As critics admit, it may have come late, but it came undeniably. Terence "Bud" Crawford, boxing's silent executioner, has forced the world to finally put respect on his name.